my name is Anna. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday. It is Memorial Day, and I'm going to take you with me for the entire week. I'm actually traveling every day this week for work, so I thought it would be interesting to see how much bookish activities I can do during this very, very busy week. Today, I will be traveling 4 hours to get to my location where I have to work, and I will be there for 2 days, so we have, a decent ways of traveling. And then the latter 2 days in this week, I will be driving to a city that is about 50 to 55 minutes away from me. So I feel like I have some pretty intense travel, but I also have a lot I want to do bookish wise. So I thought it would be fun to take you with me and really see if I traveled for work, how much would I realistically be able to read in a year if I was only able to read during the weeks. I feel like I have a pretty exciting lineup of books that I'm taking with me, and I also have some other activities, but I don't even know where the week is going to take me. I have zero clue. I have 2 arcs that I'm currently reading, and I'm going to bring 2/3 physical books with me, but I only have 2 physical books down here with me that I'll show you. First up, if you just watched my readathon, I am 20% of the way into The Next Mrs. Parrish. I'm also 20% into the way of Hearts That Cut. Hearts That Cut archives earlier. I believe The Next Mrs. Parrish doesn't archive until the end of June, so I really want to focus on Hearts That Cut. I think that's going to be like my main Kindle reading one, but sometimes I don't always like reading fully on the Kindle. I love reading on the Kindle when I go on the treadmill, but sometimes I just need like a switch up in medium. So that's why I have 2 physical books. The first is This Summer Will Be Different. I am super excited for this one. I have no idea what it's about, but I love all of Carly's books, so I'm really excited to get into this. And then I also have The Paradise Problem, so definitely more romance books physically. I'm also rereading my way through the Pendragon series, which I've been filming every month, and I know I'm just going to want to pick up the 6th book after I finish the 5th, and so I've purposely not finished the 5th book, so I ideally would want to finish that this week. In terms of audiobooks, I'm currently listening to Secretly Yours. This I'm probably going to finish on the 4-hour drive on the way there, if not a bit earlier. I am very determined to get through this audiobook. I did already choose my next audiobook, which is going to be The Golden Spoon. I feel like I've heard people talk about it before, so I am very interested. I also need something different. Usually when I'm reading like thriller books, I usually need a romance audiobook. It kind of offsets me. Because I have 2 physical romance books, I wanted, this like baking mystery is kind of what it's about from the description that I saw. I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting. So again, on the docket this week, we have a 4-hour drive today. There is some work I kind of want to prep for to do before tomorrow, so I might do some actual work at my hotel. But also at my hotel tonight, I want to prep posting a YouTube video. I have some other videos that I want to edit. I have reviews that I should definitely do. So I have also quite a few just in general bookish activities. And typically when I work on those bookish activities, I can't read books. So it'll be really interesting to see between, the bookish activities and then actually reading how much time I get for each. So we'll have to see. There are a few reviews that I want to definitely prioritize. One being The First Loss, which is an arc that I recently read. The next being The Housemaid is Watching, which is a NetGalley review that I really want to do. And then I did a really good job catching up on all my reviews. But after this readathon weekend, because I finished so many books, I feel like I have a lot of reviews to do too. So I really want to do those during this week. And then I'll be curious to see, I haven't decided fully how I want to time how much time I spend on each activity, and kind of see, realistically how much time I spend on bookish activities and working. So I might try to find a way to set up some different timers, one for how much I read, one for how much I work on bookish activities, and then one for how much I work, because I like to really stick to an 8-hour work day. However, when traveling for work, I feel like those get thrown out the window, but I still might try my best to honor it, because realistically, I don't want to work 12-hour days. That's not something that is expected of me with my job. My boss knows my boundaries pretty well. I've worked really hard to establish those. Traveling just makes it a little tougher. So I'm actually very curious to see if I will cut myself off at 8 hours. I won't leave the job site that I'm physically at, but will I switch to reading and not feel guilty about it? Because if I've already worked an 8, potentially 9-hour day, and I have to stay for 3 more hours with this crew that's doing work on our building that I'm supervising, can I read? Am I just going to work? It'll be really interesting to see what habits kind of come along with this. So I will check back in with you when we start driving and after we drive, and let's just see how this hopefully very bookish and very productive work week goes. All right, we have made it to the hotel. It is 6 o'clock Eastern, which is just when I wanted to get here. My plan for the rest of the evening is I do actually want to try to do like a very little bit of work just to prep for tomorrow. And then I also want to do my physical therapy, get ready for the day tomorrow, and then eventually get to hopefully edit some videos one way or another. I don't know if that's just gonna be shorter form videos, if it's gonna be this longer one, just some editing of some sort. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern, then ideally reading. So I'm very excited. I just stayed in a different hotel in the same city and I am liking this one so much better already. I am so happy about that. So I have my dinner. I'm going to start working. I have only listened to audiobooks today and I'm going to start writing down just on my like work daily to-do list, like the hours that I actually do things. And so far I have listened to, I believe it's 4 hours and 24 minutes of audiobooks. I might be a little bit off on that, but I finished Sincerely Yours by Tessa Bailey. It was okay. It was okay. I did get the second one because I've learned not to just judge an author's writing based on like one book. So I'm interested to see what happens in the second one. I would rate Secretly Yours like a 3 to a 3.5, I guess. I don't know, around there. I'm gonna take a little bit of time to like think about it. And then I have started The Golden Spoon, which I already like so far. It's really interesting on audio because they have a different person doing each different character's voice. So when you change chapter and perspective, you get somebody else's voice to kind of help distinguish who's talking, which I really like. So the concept of The Golden Spoon so far, have I read the description? No, but I can tell you what I got from an hour of it, is that somebody is murdered. We don't know who. We have 2 hosts for this show. We've learned a little bit about one, but not much for the other. And then we have 6 bakers. And there are a lot of stakes with this baking competition show. And the 6 contestants compete over a week to figure out who the best baker in America is. So very interesting concept. We are just meeting all of the bakers. We just got to like the dinner scene for all of them. We've learned a little bit about some of their backgrounds and we've seen the murder take place because the murder takes place in the prologue. So this is going to be something where I feel like it's a similar concept to a book I recently just read, Bad Summer People, where there's a murder at the beginning and then we kind of have to learn the community to get to the murder. However, I feel like because the person who discovered the murder is a name that I'm hearing over and over again, I feel more connected to The Golden Spoon than I did Bad Summer People for sure. Let's try to see how much work I get done. Again, I don't want to even work over an hour. I just want to stop at 7. So whenever I get set up, that's it. I'm not working past that today. I am just prepping for tomorrow, bright and early. On the plus side, the hotel does have breakfast starting at 6, and I think I have to wake up at like 5:30 Eastern tomorrow, so kind of early, but I feel like I've been kind of used to it. So we're gonna see how it goes. I'm really excited to actually see how much of each activity I do, especially the editing. I feel like editing and creating content takes up a lot during my week, so it'll be interesting to see how much happens while also traveling for work. So let's go get started being productive on this Monday. All right, this is going to be my office for the next 2 days. There's nothing in here, so it's a little echoey. I don't think there's much I can do about it. It is Tuesday, May 28th. I have already been working for 2 hours. I haven't done any reading, no content yet, but I wanted to take a little break and update you on my official Monday numbers. So I spent 48 minutes working yesterday. Yesterday was Memorial Day, so it's a national holiday. I spent 4 hours and 44 minutes reading, solely listening to audiobooks. I did listen to a little bit more of The Golden Spoon last night. I am very invested in figuring out what's going to happen. And then in terms of working on content, I spent 40 minutes working on content. So all of my TikToks are edited. I did do some recording also for YouTube Shorts, which was good. And so I really only have to now focus on some of the other like littler things that I have to do regarding bookish content. The main one that I want to work on is reviews. So once I hit my 8 hours again, because I'm very good about my boundaries. I am a salaried employee, but 8 hours, I'm here simply like supervising a job. So I just need to physically be present. Once I hit my 8 hours, then I plan to work on content. I might be able to listen to my audiobook while working. That is a perk of some of the more repetitive work that I do. So you might see some additional reading hours along with the working hours because I can listen to audiobooks while I do repetitive work, which I am almost at the point point of doing repetitive work. I haven't decided if I'm gonna start that task yet because I have actually a meeting in 15 minutes and I have 5 meetings today. So pretty packed schedule, and the team I'm supposed to supervise is not here yet. So I've been trying to do as much admin work as possible. I feel like in a lot of different roles. I was hired on as a project coordinator, fully remote work from home, but my role has greatly evolved since. So got quite a bit on the docket today. It'll be interesting to see where we land because I already know I have a meeting that's longer than 6 hours out today. So it'll be at some point, obviously taking a break will happen. I have to go to our old branch to do some work too. So lots of stuff going on today work-wise. I'm really hoping to at least get some content done today, but it depends on how long, the job people don't show up. That will really determine my day. Whenever they show up, I know that there will be some initial work to get done. And so it really depends on when they show up. I thought they were supposed to show up like 2 hours ago, which is why I got here 2 hours ago, but they have yet to show up. So wish me luck, and I will keep you updated if I am able to listen to any audiobooks while I do some repetitive work. Well, I jinxed myself. It is Wednesday, the second official day of the work week, but obviously Monday was traveling for work. So yesterday, on Tuesday, I worked for 10 hours. Fantastic. So my bad. There's something different about working East Coast time. I truly feel like the best time zone to work in is Mountain Time. I don't know, there's something I feel like that would just be very satisfying for me working in Mountain Time Zone. I have worked in 3 out of the 4 time zones, so that's just my opinion. East Coast time, personally, is the worst. I don't know how I would feel about Pacific. It would be interesting to see one day if I get there. So 10 hours work, making the total hours that I've worked this week, 10 hours and 48 minutes. And then in terms of content, I did nothing with content yesterday outside of like quick posting, which I'm not counting the time for that because it takes 2 minutes and I'm already on social media anyway. And then I did end up reading an hour and 40 minutes. 20 minutes of that was the audiobook, The Golden Spoon. So that means the other hour and 20 minutes was Hearts That Cut. I got to 40% of Hearts That Cut, which is very good. I'm trying to finish it ideally before, I think June 6th is when it's archived. I really have to check. I'm trying to finish it before that. And I read for an hour, 20 minutes yesterday, and I got through, I would say like 28%, I think is right around where I was. So as long as I have some time devoted to reading, that would be great. Today, my plan is to do a little bit of content this morning because I don't have to show up for the job until 8 a.m. and it is currently about 6:30. So I want to do a little bit of content / other bookish things. This specific bookish other thing that I want to do is reviews. There are mainly 2 I want to get done. If I can get others done, great. But I have 2 I really, really want to get done. One because it's on NetGalley and it's an ARC, and then the other because it was an ARC. It's not technically on NetGalley, but it's an indie author, so I want to make sure that I get it out there. And then we'll see if I have time for other reviews. And then this would then be going to the job site afterwards, which should be potentially chaotic when I first get there. But yesterday I also had 5 meetings and today I only have 2. So I'm hopeful to have a little bit calmer of a work day. And then I get to drive home. So another 4 hours. So we're gonna have quite the audiobook time today. And that makes sense while traveling for me because I listen to audiobooks while driving. I will say on Monday, I didn't get a work call while driving. Today, I'm not really sure. I'm also not sure, what that'll look like driving home in the afternoon time because I feel like there's going to be a lot of traffic, but I really hope not. So we might get more than 4 hours of driving. So let's write some reviews, get to the job site, see what the day kind of shapes up to be. I am really hopeful, at least audiobook wise, and then ideally when I get home, even though it's going to be late, I need to finish the Pendragon book that I've been reading. I have 20 pages left. 20 pages. I can do it. And if I don't do it today, I'm scared I'm not going to officially finish it in the month of May. And so I really want to finish it officially in the month of May. So let's get going. Good morning. It is Thursday of our week, trying to see what it looks like traveling. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I did get 30 minutes of like other bookish activities / content done yesterday. So I did 3 book reviews, about 10 minutes a book review, which is pretty average for me. But I completely forgot that I had another NetGalley review to do. So I reviewed The Housemaid is Watching, The Stardust Grail, and The First Loss. So all those were done. Super happy those were my arcs. I have other book reviews to do for like the month of May, but these were the most important ones for sure. So I'm really glad I was able to get those done. Then I worked for 9 hours. I talked such a big game about having good boundaries, but traveling made it harder. Phone calls are a lot easier in the car, so I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do. In terms of reading, I read 4 hours and 45 minutes. The majority of that was the audiobook, The Golden Spoon. I'm starting to get a little bored of it, but I don't know if I'm actually bored of the book or bored of driving. I feel like the mystery is a little bit drawn out to me, but again, I listen to all audiobooks at 1x speed. I don't listen at 2x or even 1.5. Everything is 1x speed. So part of me is just like learning to slow down and stay present during reading these books. So that might also just be something naturally that I'm like working on. I don't think the book is bad. There's a lot of mysteries, a lot of twists, but for whatever reason, it feels like it's getting slower and slower. But I was also driving a lot these past few days, so that could be definitely correlating. And then I did a little bit of reading to finish my Pendragon book. So I officially finished a book during this, but I wouldn't fully count it because I read like, I don't know, 10 pages. And I didn't do it purposefully like for this video. I just knew I wanted to make sure I finished it closer to the end of the month because I want to go and pick up that Pendragon book 6 right now. I'm probably going to do it this weekend on June 1st. So that's purposefully why I did it, so that I could really say, hey, I finished this book in this month. I didn't start the next book early because that's something that is just like a personal goal of mine. So now today has already started off great. I think I have like 170 unread emails. I'm usually around 100. So I don't know why I got so many emails overnight, but I'm not excited, and I get to drive an hour to a job site again, and I really don't want to sit in a car. But we don't really have a choice. So that's what we're gonna go do, which means I should get about an hour of audiobook listening at a minimum, because driving there, nobody usually calls me this early. I probably just jinxed myself and someone's gonna call me and interrupt my audiobook time. And then as we drive back, I will either be listening to an audiobook or we have book club today. I'm super excited for book club. We are discussing Saturday Night at the Lakeside Supper Club. I thought it was okay. I thought those people needed a break, but I think some people really liked it. So it'll be very, very interesting. But I'm known in our book club as like the big hater for character-driven stories, so I don't think anyone's gonna really be surprised by my opinion. So let's go see how the workday goes. I'm clearly the most excited person in the world. All right, I did not think the couch would make an appearance this video, and that is because my planned trip for Friday of this week ended up getting canceled. So I actually have a day to work from home. And let me just say, people who travel like every day for work, I don't know how you do it, because I was feeling it yesterday. I did not want to travel for a 4th day. I was so tired. I am definitely a homebody though, so I can see if somebody's like not a homebody. Maybe this is like a little different for them, but I'm a big old homebody, so I wanted to be home for sure. So yesterday, due to driving to the job site and then cutting my grass, I listened to 2 hours and 20 minutes of The Golden Spoon. I have about an hour left, so it'll be interesting to see if I can finish it today. And then for other bookish stuff / content, I spent an hour and a half with book club yesterday. So that was really, really fun. Really enjoyed that. And then for work, if I'm being super realistic with myself, I worked 7 hours and 45 minutes. So that was obviously a little bit short of 8 hours. I think I realistically got to 8 hours with phone calls that were made on the drive home from the job site, but I didn't exactly track how long those phone calls were because I was driving. But I know when I was at the job site, how long I was there working, it was 7 hours and 45 minutes. So definitely a different day having to actually commute to the job site and not already being there. So that means I get my usual, looking at the clock right now, about hour and 40 minutes before I officially start work, where I can do what I want. So usually I'll eat breakfast, listen to an audiobook, and once I finish that, then maybe I'll do something bookish related. I feel like I have a lot of bookish stuff that I could utilize that hour for. So I think I'm also going to organize my day, organize my weekend. Should I read my physical book today? Absolutely, I should read my physical book today. I haven't picked it up in a little bit, but we're just gonna see how the day goes. I think the one thing I've learned while making this video is that I am extremely grateful to have weekends to be able to actually fulfill hobbies. I feel like there was a time when my hobbies were taking up more of my weekday as well, but right now I feel like I can do so much on the weekends that I don't have as much bookish content really to make during the week, but that's only if I really utilize my weekends well. So I feel like I do want to plan out what my plan is for the weekend, and then we'll just see where the day takes us. I am hopeful for today, especially because I get to be home. I feel like I'm kind of cheating from this video, but also it wasn't my fault that I'm not traveling today. We were supposed to be having a crew of people do work on a job site, and that got pushed out by 2 weeks. What can you do? You know, when you work in construction, sometimes it happens. So we're gonna see how today goes, and let's get started with our morning, and I will check back in with you later. Today, the reason I'm going to count the afternoon of this Friday is because I do have book club again. I don't know exactly the details of this book club. It'll be really interesting to see, but that'll be hopefully an update I can make before going to book club, and then hopefully after book club too, there will be one final update. So again, if you travel full-time for work, honestly, good for you, because I'm exhausted. I don't see how I could do this again, but I will be traveling for work 3 days next week, so it's almost like the same thing that we're doing week to week. So let's get started with our morning. All right, if I'm being honest, it is Sunday, June 2nd. So on Friday for my work, I did 7 hours and 45 minutes of work again. I think that's pretty average. Again, I did take a phone call later in the day and I just didn't count it, but I know in terms of like exact time on my computer, it was 7 hours and 45 minutes. So for the total work that I worked, and it was a 4-day work week, was 35 hours and 48 minutes. And again, with the national holiday, I feel like that makes sense to be a little under 40 hours. I don't think it's expected of people to work 40 hours on a 5-day week if they typically work a 5-day week. So I did pretty good, I feel like, with work, which is great, but I definitely can feel being overwhelmed right now, but that's just what having an adult job sometimes is you have stressful periods. I do like my job, which is surprising. I didn't think I would like my job as much as I do, but yeah, it's also just a job, and we deserve to have time doing other fun things like doing bookish content, having book club meetings, or other hobbies, of course, if your hobbies aren't book related. So in terms of what I did Friday, in terms of other bookish things, we had another book club meeting. That one lasted about 2 hours. We were talking the whole time, planning our next book. It was super fun. It's pretty much right now a 2-person book club. Maybe it'll turn into a 3-person book club, but I think it's really fun because this is somebody that I see in person. So it's not virtual, which is a different experience. And I kind of like having 2 book clubs, one being virtual with people all across the country, and then one with somebody that I know that's local to me. So for total bookish content / other bookish activities that was not reading, I spent 4 hours and 40 minutes doing that during the week. I will say I am definitely grateful to have weekends, because I think today alone I will spend like 4+ hours on content, editing this video, editing other videos, creating different short videos. So definitely grateful to have the weekends for that. And then for reading on Friday, I maybe listened to about an hour and a half. I did finish The Golden Spoon. I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I also started Unfortunately Yours, which is the second book to Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I got farther with that on Saturday as well. So yesterday I listened to like 2+ hours of it. So again, grateful for weekends to just let me completely disconnect from work. I know not everybody necessarily has that. I didn't used to have that when I taught. I feel like I could never really disconnect from work, but now I feel like it's a little more possible in a corporate job. So really thankful for that. So total reading hours this week, rounding up to 16 hours. If that happened every week during the year, I would not be able to reach the reading goal that I have set. I don't think it would be possible. Realistically, I finished one audiobook. I finished a book, but I had literally 20 pages left of it. I did read a little bit of Hearts That Cut this week, but definitely not as much as I need to. I definitely am grateful to have a weekend job where I can kind of unplug unplug. I know I did a regular like reading with me during the week to see how much I could read when I wasn't traveling. So traveling definitely takes down the amount of time that I've been able to read. And I don't think I'm going to have as intense of a travel week as this past week, which is good, but I am still actually traveling for work this week for 3 days. The week after I won't be traveling at all. And so honestly, I think that's when I'm going to plan to do my readathon, because I do have quite a few books I want to read in June. So this has been really interesting to see. So let's take these numbers and see what my yearly totals would be. So starting with bookish content or other activities, I rounded up to about 4 hours and 45 minutes just for easier calculation. That would be 247 hours a year. I definitely think realistically I spend way more time on that with content. So if I only did that I would have to probably give up one of the social media platforms or potentially, find a different hobby or something. I'm not sure. I feel like that's not enough hours for if you're trying to do social media across like a multitude of platforms. So that's interesting to see how much traveling takes away, but that's why I really try to prepare on weekends when I know I'm going to be gone. For reading, if I read 16 hours every week of the year, I would be at 832 hours. And I think in terms of like the average audiobook length that I read is somewhere, let's divide that by 11 hours because I feel like that's the average audiobook length. Realistically, I would read 75 books a year, which I feel like is not terrible, actually. I know some people are like, how can you read more than 100 books a year? Well, clearly, if I'm able to listen to potentially 75 audiobooks on average just during the work week, not including weekends, I feel like it could be pretty easy to add up to 100 books during the year. So that was better than I thought it was. I actually didn't think 16 hours of reading was enough. And then in terms of work, I rounded it up to doing 36 hours of work a week. And if I work exactly that every week, I would work 1,872 hours a year, which is kind of sad. I feel like that is a lot. I don't feel like having an existential crisis on a Sunday morning though, so I'm going to put that number somewhere far away. So that's been trying to read, make bookish content, all while traveling for work. I feel like this was really fun to see. I am going to be doing my readathon early this month because I have some other fun content that I'm going to be doing on the back half of this month, including traveling to see a friend. So definitely we'll talk more about that coming up. And then I want to look at some of my pre-orders and how the year has gone so far. So I am pretty excited, still having enough content, always a little bit worried I'm going to run out of an idea and not realize I ran out of one. So if you have any ideas, definitely let me know in the comments and I will catch you in the next one.